Hello and welcome to episode 17 of Missed Mando, Ontario's source for the latest in the disc golf world. I'm your host, Robbie Holden, joined by my friends and co-hosts, Sean Galbraith and Galen Naidu-Harris. Sean, we haven't seen you in a while. You weren't around for the last episode. How are you and what have you been up to?
I am doing fantastic, Robbie. Man, it's been like a month since, or more than a month since I've been on the show. So it feels like forever. Man, I've been doing so much. I was the volunteer coordinator at the Innova RIP. That's how long it's been since I've been here. That went amazing. We had an amazing cast and crew of volunteers making that event amazing. Then I played Ficklewood, the extremely unsanctioned, amazing tournament. 28-hole rounds. Can't really talk too much about that tournament legally. And it's incredible. Highly recommended if you can get in. And then it was off to the MVP Open for a week where the wife and I were on staff. And I was the certified official on hole 14 for 4 days, and it was amazing. It was so much fun. We're back. It feels like I haven't played actual disc golf in forever, but I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back on the show. Galen, what have you been up to?
Yeah, a lot too. Not as much as you, buddy, but I've been trying to keep busy. I kind of love all those updates. I mean, I worry about a course on which you are a certified official and how that would have gone, but
reasonably so. Yeah.
It looked like you had fun. Our correspondent from the ground, loved to see it and loved that update you plugged out of the last episode. We got that preview, Robbie and I, ahead of time, but I didn't know where that was going to go or how it was going to go, and I was super stoked on that. I've been good. Yeah. The big thing that I'm excited about is that we are now into early October. You can tell by my apartment here. I've hopefully front-lit this well enough, but it's October 8th at 7:46 p.m. and you could have told me it's midnight or 2 a.m. and there'd be no difference. It is pitch black, which isn't great for all of our seasonal depression and mental health, but it is great for playing glowy. So at Kelso, we have moved to a glow-in-the-dark format for our regular Wednesday night league, which Robbie still has not shown up for, despite his indications that he might. But we all meet up around 7:30 these days. Maybe it's 8. My brain's not firing on all cylinders right now. It's been a long day. And play some glow instead of trying to squeeze in around between like 4:31 p.m. or 5:01 or whatever the heck it would be, and when it gets dark these days, which is far too early. But the first couple of weeks have been great. I've still been nursing a shoulder injury, still on the IR. But I got back out for a round at Kelso Glowy a week and a half ago, and got out to play the first 2 rounds of the Battle of the Alphas last weekend. Decided to play it safe and not come back out for the Sunday because I'm still trying to figure out what's going on, waiting on an appointment. Don't need to complain about it too much on the pod, but don't fully know what exactly is going on, and I'm looking forward to knowing so I know how long it is until I should play again and whatever. Anyway, all that's to say, I haven't played all the disc golf rounds that we have had at Kelso in Glowy, but it has been a blast from what I've heard and what I've seen from the round that I did play, so I'm very excited about that. The Battle of the Alphas was awesome. I think we're going to get to a recap in a bit, so I'll be brief, but that was my first event that I played in like 5 weeks, again because of the shoulder, and I had a blast. I mentioned when we were doing our top 10 courses that Wolf Tracks is my favorite course. I was reminded of that at the tournament. I camped at Limberlost. It was fantastic. Also really loved hitting a really cool and badly filmed ace yesterday. ThoughtSpace Athletics, or I guess one of the admins in the ThoughtSpace Facebook group, not that long ago put a bounty on the first 2 people to ace with the Crux and Nuance, separate bounties, the 2 new ThoughtSpace releases. And so I thought yesterday I would go out with my wife, and she had a class she was doing at our local community center that has a pitch and putt. The minimum distance requirement for the ace for the Crux was 200 feet, and I was like, there are 4 holes on this pitch and putt that exceed the limit. I'll throw a few discs. I'll have fun. I'll get Brenna to record, and then, we'll go our separate ways. I had a little tripod in the bag in case I needed it. Stepped up. She started recording, ripped my first shot. Perfect hyzer, 203-foot hole, smashed, just like touched the top of the basket and just in. I haven't thrown with my right arm consistently in like 5 weeks. I had those couple of rounds about a week and a half ago, but I was like, come on. It's like one of my first throws with the crux. It's like, this couldn't be any better. So I'm over the moon. I know there's a prize out there. I run up, I grab the camera, and I immediately press the button to flip it. I'm going to record my face as I'm running it in and just, be excited and talk to the camera. I was mostly trash talking to my friend James Atkinson, who won the first 2 ThoughtSpace Ace bounties. I get up to the basket. I press the flip button to the camera back. I film the disc in the basket and just say something like, this is so sick. All right, bye. And then after I've done that, I look down at my phone and I see that it has just started recording and go, excuse me? What do you mean started? I was recording that entire thing, I thought. No? And go back and check. And unfortunately, as soon as I pressed that camera flip button, it ended the recording. I had no idea. I was just talking to myself, pretending like I was talking to a phone or thinking I was talking to a phone, ran it in, and just got none of it. And the stipulations on the Ace were that you film yourself going up the basket, film the disc in the basket to show, there's no funny business, no cuts, no fast forwarding, no nothing. And so I posted on the Facebook page and said, hey, I messed up the rules. Here's why. I thought I was following them. I'm just a big, stupid, dumb idiot. Do with this information and video what you will. And the admin, JJ Gray, who is a highly incredible dude, offered what I thought was more than fair. Because I would have understood if they said, nope, you messed this up, you get nothing. But just said, you know what, take down one of the 2 prizes. If you would like, you can have a gift card or you can have a disc. And we're going to keep the bounty open for everybody else. I said, that is very kind of you. Sounds good. And so that's what I've been, that's the roller coaster of emotion the last 24 hours for me, because this is like yesterday as we're recording. I saw the comment of like JJ saying, hey, here's what seems fair this morning. That's about it. Other than that, I'm looking forward to my MA30 era. I think it's very rude. The PDJ does not have an actual division for that, but I'm turning 30 in a little under a week. Looking forward to a round with some friends where I'm going to hopefully hit many more crux aces somehow. But yeah, I've been talking for too long. Life is really good, guys, and I'm happy to be recording a pod with both of my buds. How about you, Robbie? What's new with you?
Oh, it's been, standard my life. I've been playing some disc golf tournaments on my weekends. I played 2 tournaments since the last time we spoke. I played in the WEDG Open out in Windsor, which was a blast. Played the Battle at the Bluffs, also a blast. That one was a 1-round C tier where you actually got golf carts for your round. For each group of 4, you got 2 golf carts. So it was you and one of your card mates riding around in the cart for the whole round. 19-hole temp layout on a golf course. Super fun. As you can imagine, the round just went by like a breeze because you're just cruising around in golf carts. Played over my rating at both of those events, so happy about that. Just got a nice little 1-point ratings boost on my ratings, which came out today when we're recording this. And last week, Shawnee G joined me for my birthday round. You're turning 30 in a little over a week, you said. I just turned 29, so entering my 30th year. It only scares me a little bit, almost being 30, but you're a lot closer than me, Galen, so enjoy your 20s while it lasts. Yeah, Sean's like, listen here, youngsters. But yeah, Shawnee G came, and for the 2nd year in a row, we got a round in on my birthday at Bronte Creek. No aces this time around. Sean last year stole my birthday thunder and decided to ace hole 4 at Bronte Creek. He actually gave a pretty good run on hole 4 again. I thought he might ace the same hole back-to-back years, which just would have been ridiculous. But that was a good one, and had a nice dinner with my family on the weekend. So it's been a nice few weeks here, and Galen, as you mentioned, we're into October now, and that might mean that the sun is setting earlier. That does mean glowy rounds, which is nice, but it also means that the fall temperatures are here, and this is my favorite time of year personally. If I'm ranking seasons, it's fall, spring, summer, winter, for sure. I love the fall. Halloween,
it's definitely
season.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the S tier disc golf season too. Like I love a lot of things about the fall. There is no better time to play disc golf than right now, though.
100% agree, and some good tournaments coming up too, which we will talk about. At least one of them as we're coming up on. We'll have a preview for a local tournament for the first time to go along with some Pro Tour stuff. But let's move on now to some Ontario news, and we'll throw it over to Shawnee G. What is coming up in the Ontario schedule?
It's so much. It is amazing how many tournaments and events we still have coming up before the end of the year. Do not go quiet into that night is the apparently the philosophy of Ontario disc golf. So like just in October, registrations are still open for the space race up in Midland on October 25th, Disc Golf Rendezvous, which is sort of the club final in Orillia. It's kind of cool. It's set up at a golf course. It's a temp course there. And then you get like a prime rib dinner afterwards. Looks amazing. That's on October 26th. October 26th. I mean, I don't know how people are going to pick which event to do, because you have a choice between the Rendezvous in Orillia. You've got Thomas Gilbert dropping 2 Battles with Big Maple events. These are you basically get 2 Thought Space discs, presumably Thomas Gilbert stamped discs, and then you get to pick one of your own from your bag, and you play the round with just those 3, kind of like a Trilogy Challenge or a Space Race or whatever. But it's at Cedar Creek. Like Cedar Creek, that's got 3 discs on Cedar Creek, will be super fun on October 26th. Then the next day down at VA Barrie, big courses, 3 discs, super fun. The second one is on October 27th. Or you can do the Spooky Soiree in St. Catharines, a glowy event on October 26th. Andrea Michaud is putting that on. It's a custom 13-hole layout, as I understand. And then the next day, pop down to Brantford for Brooklyn and Colleen's fundraiser at Mohawk. Or go up to Huntsville for the Big East Open on their the new course there. This is it's a 9-hole C tier, and it is, as best I can tell, the very last sanctioned tournament in Ontario. And if that wasn't enough, Jangle Aqua, the best tournament of the year, the random glowy doubles that always happens on October 30th at White Spruce, is coming up. You can't pre-register for that one, but it's one that you absolutely have to attend. It is so much fun. It is so much fun. There are more unsanctioned tournaments and events still listed on Disc Golf Scene. If you were listening to this, like when we premiere it on Thursday at 7:00, you have 1 hour left to register for the Stones Throw. Somehow there's still space available for that. That's coming up this weekend. Lots of disc golf tournaments still out there. Register, play them all. It's going to be so much fun. And there's going to be still more that are going to come up, including a tournament from yours truly, the 3 of us here at Miss Mando. Not ready to drop the details on that one just yet, but stay tuned to the next episode where we're going to release it.
I can't wait. Can't wait to reveal that secret we've got cooking. And yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to play in October. I know my schedule is packed. We've got provincials coming up, Stones Throw, as you mentioned. Bronte Creek Classic, a staple on the Ontario disc golf calendar. Unfortunately, as you're listening to this now, it is already very sold out.
Very sold out and a pretty sizable wait list.
Yeah, I'm number one on the MA1 wait list right now, so I've got fingers crossed. I just need one person to drop out from MA1, and then I'll get bumped up, and we've got just over 2 weeks until that event. So fingers crossed. I love the Bronte Creek Classic. That was actually my very first sanctioned event in 2018, was the 2018 Bronte Creek Classic. So definitely hope I can get into that one. But what do you fellas say we move on over and talk about some tournaments that have already happened and get into some of our Ontario recaps? And we're going to start with the Muskoka Open, the Battle of the Alphas, something that Galen mentioned in his intro. And of course, this is taking us up to Huntsville, Ontario, and the beautiful Wolf Tracks course at Bondi Village Resort. And this was the last weekend to qualify for 2024 provincials, with 2 OCC qualifiers going down, this being the first of those. And over in MPO, stop me if you've heard this one before, Chris O'Zolins goes wire to wire at another tournament, leading by 2 strokes after 1, 6 strokes after 2, and ultimately winning by 7 strokes over Dan Bauma and Daryl Nantis, finishing in 3rd. This now gives Oz 10 total wins this season, hitting the double-digit mark for the first time since 2018, when he won 10 MPO tournaments as well. Now, that year also included, I think I saw like 4 Flex Start one-round tournaments. So I'd say that this year is even more impressive, 10 wins than that season. This is also now Oz's 59th win of his career, with 55 of them coming in Ontario, now only 7 behind Marty Hendel in the all-time wins in Ontario list. There were no FBO competitors at this event and some one-person division winners, but in MA1, it was Brady Belanger who continued his stellar season, picking up his 6th win with a 8-stroke victory over Garrett Morgan, with Alex Patton rounding out the podium in 3rd. This was also Brady's 10th career PDGA win in his 100th tournament played. So a nice little, if you like round even numbers, that'll make your brain happy, seeing that on your PDGA profile. 110, 100 tournaments, 10 wins is what I mean. So yeah, big congrats to Brady on all of those accomplishments there. And I can't wait for next season when he's not an MA1 anymore, and I don't have to lose to him continually at every single tournament that I play, it feels like. But Shawnee G, let's throw it over to you first. Let's hear some of your thoughts from the Muskoka Open.
Shout out to James Atkinson, who had an amazing tournament and cruised to a win in MA2 by 8 strokes. This is his 4th win of the year, and he shot an amazing 949 average. James, he's having a great season. Starting this year, rated 873, and as of this week, he is popped up to 924. Don't stay too comfortable in MA2, James, because you won't be there for much longer. Now, Oz continues to crush it. It seems likely that Oz is going to surpass Marty on the win list.
Yeah.
I think the question is, when do we think that is going to happen? Do we think he's going to do it in 2025? There's enough events, clearly, that he certainly could, especially if Marty doesn't play as many events. Oz tends to play a fair number. So is he going to do it by July? Is he going to do it by September of next year? Or do we think maybe it's going to take him into 2026? What do you guys think? Month or year do you want to pick?
If I'm going with a year, I'll say 2026. I'll give it. Just Oz is so much more active than Marty in terms of playing tournaments. Just plays so much more. So I'd say that he's gonna continue racking up wins at a high rate like this. I could see it going to even 2027. I mean, I don't know what Marty's plans are for tournaments over the next few years. But we've talked about Marty a lot this season. When he plays, he wins a lot. So if he gets out and plays some more tournaments, he could slow Oz's progress in catching him. But no, I think Oz is definitely going to claim the number one spot at some point for sure.
So I looked at their tournament page, and Marty has played 12 tournaments. 12 tournaments this year. He's won 1, 2, 3. He's won 4 of them. And Oz, he's played 20 tournaments this year and has won, let's see here, 1, 2, 10, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Oh, spoiler alert for something coming up, I think.
Yeah, he's won a lot. It's a lot.
Yep.
So, yeah. I mean, I think my money would be on Oz taking the lead in 2025. I'm going to say before my birthday in July.
Cool.
Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah. Well, you, Galen, what do you think?
Well, I thought I had the hot take here, but I guess I'm actually going to be splitting the difference. I'm going to paint a picture for you guys. So we just heard the stats from Sean and Robbie, depending on who you trust on how many wins Oz took down. But Marty had 3 wins in Ontario this year. Oz had 10 wins, maybe 11 in Ontario this year.
Yep.
So I'm going to count on a similar discrepancy between the two next year. Both incredible players. I imagine that Marty will continue to play and place highly and win events, and Oz will continue to play and place highly and win events. I would imagine that Oz will continue to put in more volume, especially in Ontario, and take down more wins, especially in Ontario. And this, for me, is more just for the narrative. Every year, as we're ready to open the course at King's Forest, we have traditionally had a random mixed doubles event to kick off the year. Last year, that is this year, 2024, the start of the season, for most normal people, but the end of the King's Forest season in March, we had our first sanctioned King's Forest event. I would absolutely love to see a world where next year we have a King's Forest sanctioned event in late October, early November, as the course opens up for the first time in 2025. And of course, Chris has his fingers and toes dipped into just about everything in Ontario. But I know that a particular brainchild of his, something that he is proud of and takes a lot of ownership of, is everything going on over at King's Forest. So I'm going to say very specifically, without any insider knowledge, because I have none at all, that next year there will be a sanctioned event at King's Forest in November, and Chris Oz will win it to take leadership or co-leadership of the most wins in Ontario of all time.
At that event.
That is
he's going to take him.
Sign, seal, and deliver my prediction. Again, I thought it was a hot take to say 2025, but you're like, no, July, done. I'm going to say, like warm-ish to like maybe you put your hand in the water and you look at a little bit, take November of next year at a sanctioned event at King's.
Could happen. He's still got one more sanctioned event this year, to add to that list, the Bronte Classic. I don't know. We'll see.
We will see. Galen, any other thoughts from you on the Muskoka Open?
Yeah, for sure. It's just an awesome tournament. I was reminded of how much I just love that course. We were talking about it a few weeks ago at our top 10 course podcast, and I had played at that point Wolf Tracks once, one weekend, and absolutely adored it. And I'm really excited to have been able to go back and play it again. And it reminded me why it's my favorite course. I was actually camping at Limberlost, which is where another one of my favorite courses is. It didn't quite crack my top 10, but another fantastic course. So I was camping, I was playing disc golf, I was having a great time. But my primary thought is just being proud of my friends, especially James. He's gotten so good so fast, but it's not just because he's gotten lucky or he's genetically gifted or whatever. Like, that could be part of it. I don't know that as much of it, but for me, like, this man has put in work. He plays more, he puts more work in than anybody that I know. And so to see him take the steps he has this year, Had another big win, add a massive improvement to his rating a second ago. And you know, to move up to whatever it was Sean said, like a 924 for his rating for the season, like just fantastic. And you know, so for him to see one of my best friends become the sandbagging king of Ontario, like I'm just so proud of him to see him. No, I'm actually very proud of him. But it has been funny watching it because last year he like was reticent to hop into MA2 tournaments because he's like, I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. And to see him like now be easily a premier MA2 player and perhaps I would argue like a competitive MA1 player at this point has been awesome. And so watching it go from people being like very excited for him to play really well to like seeing people like razz him for being like, yeah, great tournament, but like, hey, would you go up a division because I want a chance to win, has been awesome. Also love seeing Wallace Kent, Paul Fenney round out the podium. Some really good friends of mine took down the top 3 spots. If it wasn't going to be me, I am glad it was them putting in some work on MA2. Awesome weekend. Congratulations to all of the winners. And I'm happy to throw back to you, Robbie, for our next recap.
Let's do it. Let's keep on chugging, as I like to say. I feel like I haven't said that in a while, actually. I need to bring that back more often. It needs to be a once an episode tradition for me. But we head now to Belleville, Ontario for the 3rd annual Riverside Rumble. As I mentioned earlier, this was the other last OCC qualifier for 2024 provincials, with some end of the year events coming up being qualifiers for 2025 provincials. In MPO, Thomas Hums had a great start to the tournament, shooting a 997 rated -4 in round 1 to take a 5-stroke lead over Carter Yeomans into the final round. Carter came out absolutely on fire to start the final round, birdieing the first 7 holes and erasing the 5-stroke lead to sit tied with Thomas going into the back 9, where it was an absolute roller coaster on the leaderboard, with the lead changing hands 3 times before Carter eagled hole 16 to have a 2-stroke lead with 2 holes to play. Thomas would then pick up a stroke on 17 with a birdie, and on hole 18, he would pick up another birdie while Carter took an unfortunate costly bogey to give Thomas the 1-stroke win after an incredible battle. This gives Thomas 4 wins this season now, the most in a single season of his career. In FPO, it was a fun family weekend as Alicia Hums gets a win in a solo FPO division, the 6th time in their careers and 3rd time this season that the Humses have taken down both MPO and FPO at the same tournament. Galen, let's go over to you first on this one, my friend. Let's hear some of your thoughts from the 3rd annual Riverside Rumble.
Yeah, I believe it's Humsai, same as Praxi. Congrats to Tom and Alicia for another power couple beatdown. Alicia played unopposed, but I think it would have been tough for anybody for her to take her out. I think she averaged somewhere in the mid to high 90s, which is just like stellar golf for FPO or for anybody, to be honest, in Ontario. So love seeing them take down that win, or those wins, I should say. Also, I know he might have higher aspirations, but I just love Nate Renton, man. He is such a good dude and such a positive vibe he brings every time he's at the course. So I got to shout out his 3rd place in MA1 and taking down a podium spot with a tournament that was above his rating. So love seeing him average really highly and play well. Also congrats to Lauren Williams for taking down the win in FA2. I haven't actually checked her PDGA page lately, but it feels like she's been shooting pretty hot the last couple of months. So, certainly excited for all of those friends of the pod. And Sean, how about you? Some thoughts on the tournament?
Man, what an amazing MPO battle that Robbie was talking about. Thomas, he is having just an amazing season. We definitely need to get him on the show soon to complete the Humze power couple guest appearances here. But big shout out to Carter for shooting a scorching 1040 second round. That is incredible. Tough bogey at the end to lose it, but man, incredible round up to that point, and huge props to him.
Yeah, I think he had like 3 total bogeys on the round, and then I think it was like 3 bogeys, 3 pars, and then the rest were birdies to pull off that crazy comeback effort. But yeah, I'd say we move on now to some tournament that I mentioned in the intro as one that I played, the WEDG Open out in Windsor, Ontario. And this event saw 77 competitors competing across 9 divisions, which I was pretty impressed about for being all the way out in Windsor. But they got a nice local crowd out there that definitely showed up to play, and shout out to the tournament director for getting me in, even though I signed up like 2 days before the event because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do that weekend. But a 1-day C tier, I was more than happy to make the drive for. So, and it was a great event. In MPO, Jake Lusaw pulled off a come from behind win, shooting a 993 rated -10 final round to win by 1 stroke over Abe Neufeld and Connell McLeod, who finished tied for 2nd place. No FPO division for this event, but shout out to friend of the podcast, Chantel Badinsky, who competed in the MPO division, finishing in a tie for 7th. Finishing. I don't know what that accent was. Elsewhere in the field, Ryan Graham wins by 1 stroke in MA1, Peter Fair wins in MA2, and Hannah Stewart wins in FA2. Shawnee G, let's throw it over to you on this one first. Let's hear some of your thoughts.
Not much to add to what you just said. I just wanted to give an extra shout out to Chantal again for playing MPO. You do not see that very often. Very sort of Elaine King Worlds MA1 was it 1987 or something like that at Toronto Island, where she played in the mixed division. Very cool to see, and she did great, placing tied for 7th. Like that's very competitive. So big shout out to her and huge props.
Galen, what about you, my friend?
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that for Chantel. I just love seeing good people in this sport do well. And this isn't quite on that same track of good people doing well, but this guy, Robbie Holden, I keep seeing his name like sort of towards the middle, sometimes the bottom end of these tournaments. Occasionally he'll, be in competition at times. But I just, I see his name so often, and I felt like I should shout him out for taking down a 3rd in MA1. I just, sometimes you hear these negative reviews from people. I don't like playing on his card. He's a little annoying. I think he has this podcast that's not that great. He didn't even ace on his birthday. But, for my money, I just, I don't listen. Robbie, if you're out there listening to this podcast, don't listen to the haters. Congratulations on taking down a 3rd. I think you're just fine. And congrats to the winners who did better than Robbie.
Maybe he'll do well enough to be on the show one day.
Hey, maybe someday. I'm going to have him on.
Who knows, Robbie, if you're out there listening. For those only listening, I just took off my headphones. But let's say we move on now to the next tournament. We head next to beautiful Port Stanley, Ontario for the Battle at the Bluffs, held on a temp course at the Bluffs Golf Course, and was a 1-round C-tier tournament that was an OCC qualifier for 2025 provincials, the first qualifier for next year's provincials. Don't even know where that is yet. Ooh. Little mystery for whoever gets some podium spots here. This was also
Mando,
right?
Yeah, right.
Heyo. This was also a really cool tournament. The first one I've ever played in so far that we got to use a golf cart for a round. Each group of 4 got 2 golf carts, so you and a card mate were cruising around in the golf cart for the whole round, which was pretty awesome, if I do say so myself. And it's a beautiful property too. There's a couple holes right on the bluffs on Lake Erie, and just some stunning views. And thankfully, the wind was down on that day, which I was a little worried about being right on Lake Erie. Some of those holes can get pretty windy, I'm assuming, but not the case on this day. And in MPO, Connell McLeod takes down a 3-stroke win over Rich Van Murick, shooting a 1,006 rated -9 to take it down. If you aren't aware of Connell yet, at this year's Junior Worlds, he won the long drive contest in MJ 18 by throwing an insane 724 feet, more than 100 feet further than second place. And I'm pretty sure that's farther than what AB threw at the All-Star event this year. Now, obviously, I don't know what the conditions were like and stuff like that, but this kid can absolutely mash on a Frisbee. In MP40, MP40 was the only other pro division at this event, with Clayton Morgan and Mike Nelson taking a tie for first. They didn't do any playoffs at this event, and they were 4 strokes ahead of third place. On the AM side, Brady Belanger and Kyle DeGost take a tie for first in MA1, and in FA1, Laura Smith wins by 3 strokes. Sean, let's throw it over to you, my friend. Let's hear some of your thoughts from this event.
Not many shout outs or thoughts. I don't know this course at all, but I definitely wanted to give a shout out to Aaron Dyke from Aylmer for carding an ace on a 317-foot hole 3. That is a big ace, and that is awesome. Especially, I mean, a 1-round tournament, you got one chance at it. You friggin' nailed it, and well done, Aaron.
One shot, one opportunity.
I am so glad. That was literally in my brain as I was like, I'm going to restrain myself and I'm not going to say this. And then Galen's voice started speaking it into existence.
Oh yeah, I got no restraints here, buddy. You should know that by now. Yeah, not a lot to add. You guys nailed that coverage. For me, though, I just, the fact that Connell is mashing a disc 724 is crazy to me.
Insane.
My furthest throws, maybe a little bit further, but like with control, the furthest I'm guessing, further than what I'm about to say, not further than him, not even close.
Thank you for clarifying.
With control, and anybody that knows me knows there's no chance in heck I'm throwing further than 724. But sorry, we'll start at the beginning of that sentence rather than starting at the end. Like, I can throw with control on a good day, like 350, 360. So, like, he is doubling that with one drive. That is insane. It's, like, the best that I have in my arsenal. He's like, yeah, well, could you do that twice? And you're probably still not going to be as far as me or in as good a position, which is nuts. So I was trying to say my furthest drives are a bit farther than half of his 724. But, like, you know, on a really good day with precision, I'm getting half as far as he's getting. That is crazy. Also wanted to give a quick shout out to Clayton Morgan. Like Clayton and I don't even know each other, but way back in the depths of the COVID-19 pandemic, when I first started playing, I was just playing the local pitch and putt, the same one I hit that ace at with the Crux yesterday. And I hadn't really played any other courses, and I was just, you know, because there were some courses that I couldn't get to and because there were weird restrictions. I was actually watching a lot of online Ontario content from True North, some stuff from Canadian Disc Golf Productions too. But one of the first tournaments I can recall, actually, I guess it wasn't a tournament. So I have seen that one too. But actually, there was if I'm remembering right, anyway, and I didn't, you know, research this ahead of time. I remember watching something that True North called like an all-star event that they shot at La Fortune, where Clayton Morgan was one of 4 people playing. But I want to say it was Gilbert, Oz, and Marty Hendel, and Clayton Morgan, but maybe I'm crossing my wires. Anyway, one of the first times I ever watched one of my now favorite courses, whether it was Christie or La Fortune or one of the other ones on the list, was Clayton Morgan, and I just, I don't know, it's always kind of stuck with me, the people that I watched like in my earliest tournaments, you know, like Ivan O'Brien, Chantel Badinsky playing F8-2, if you can believe it, years and years ago. So I don't know, anytime I see a name that was part of my introduction to disc golf, I go, that's cool. And Clayton wouldn't know me or know that is part of my introduction to disc golf. But if he ever sees this, very cool to see you doing well, man, because you're one of the first people I ever saw playing this sport. And at the time when I was sitting in my living room and there was a global 100-year plague out in the world, The players that were playing and shredding in Ontario were every bit as cool and untouchable to me as the players that were playing Ledgestone, D-Glow, Worlds, whatever. So for me, seeing the Chris O'Sollinses, the Thomas Gilberts, the Clayton Morgans, the Colleen McInneses, the, again, FA2, whatever, the Ivan O'Briens, the Chantal Badinskis, I was like, this is so fucking cool. So shout out to Clayton for shredding there as well. But yeah, back over to you, Robbie.
Yes, sir. We're gonna close out our Ontario recaps with the first ever WolfKat Classic held at Trail Hub in Uxbridge, Ontario, and this was another OCC qualifying event for next year's provincials. Players out getting an early start to the qualifying process. And an MPO, Thomas Hums, took down his second win in as many weekends, going into the final round down by 1, but shooting a 10-16 rated -10 to pull off the come-from-behind win. And shout out to Garrett Morgan, who was in last place after round 1, but shot the hot round of the tournament in round 2, a 10-25 rated -11. to launch himself back up the leaderboard, where he would end up finishing in second place. And over in FPO, Alicia Hums takes the auto win as the only other competitor in the field, going back-to-back weekends with the Humsai taking down both pro victories there. Galen, let's go to you first on this one, my friend. Let's hear some of your thoughts from the WolfKat Classic.
Yeah, listen, man, I'm an English major. I'm well aware that there is nothing in the annals of language and grammar to support this. I'm going Humsai all day long. I think that is hilarious, and I think we got to stick with it. So yeah, another Tom and Alicia win. I would like to say I'm surprised, but I'm not at all. Tom and Alicia keep treading blows with Chris Brown and Colleen McInnes for disc golf power couple supremacy. And I am totally here for it. So at some point we'll have to do, we'll have to try to compare the various records and see who is, the champions of the Ontario disc golf power couple scene. But for now, and even after, if we ever do a comparison, I'll be happy for all of them. Also happy for Seabass for taking down the win in MA1. Sebastian, I don't know if I've ever actually figured out how to say his last name. I'm going to go with Brzezinski.
Brzezinski
for taking down first in MA1. James Atkinson, a name we've heard a lot of tonight, and we'll hear a lot more of as we go forward for second. And Nate Redden to round out the podium in MA1. Awesome to see Mr. 973, as we all like to razz him about, Doug Michaud from Brawny Creek, because he shot a 973 rated round once, and we all will never let him forget it. Awesome to see Doug lapping the field with a cool neg 3 9-stroke victory for MA40. Shout out to the pride of Kelso Lake, Kelso Club, Garrett Morgan. He's been playing for a year and throws only overhand. It is insane that anybody with those parameters could ever throw a 10-25 rated hot round on the weekend. That is bananas.
Which included an ace, too.
No way. I actually didn't know that. That's crazy. And knowing Garrett, I'm sure it was in a very fashionable style too.
Hole 11, if anybody's familiar with the Trail Hub course.
I can't wait to get out there. Unfortunately am not. I was hoping to play that tournament. As has become a theme lately, my shoulders said, no, you will not. You were going to have no fun and you're going to sit on your couch instead. But Garrett did not sit on his couch, and he aced, and I'm happy for him. And somebody else who did not sit on their couch was Mr. Tobin Izatt, who took down MA50. And I believe somebody we might hear from a little bit later in the show. I don't know. We'll see. That's what they call in the business a teaser, I believe. But that probably is too many thoughts, but those are mine. Over to you, Sean. What do you think about WolfKat?
WolfKat is a punishing course. Ontario's toboggan, basically. Huge congrats to all the winners who survived that tournament. And huge shout out and congrats to all the winners of all these divisions that we covered. So many tournaments, and so many more to go. It has been truly an amazing year of disc golf, and it is awesome to see the progress of Ontario disc golf and Ontario disc golfers. And we love bringing all of these tournaments to you, our listener, every week. But as Galen gave a preview to, let's jump over to our feature interview with one such amazing Ontario disc golfer. His first interview is going to be right here on Miss Mando. Let's go to it right now.
And our next guest has only been a member of the PDGA since 2021, but since that time, he has certainly made up for lost time. In only 3 years as a sanctioned member of the disc golf world, he now has played 99 tournaments, sanctioned at least, I'm sure there are more, and has racked up 16 wins in that time. So far this year, he has played a casual 46 tournaments, which is funny because I remember him telling me at the start of the year he wasn't going to play as many as last year. Which is 46 tournaments, which is a record for any Canadian player, and he still has 8 more events on his calendar for 2024. Just this year alone, he has won 10 events in Canada and the US, most recently the WolfKat Classic at Trail Hub. We are very happy to welcome to Miss Mando the MA50 monster, the pride of Bronte Creek, my friend Tobin Izatt. Tobin, thank you, man, for joining us. It's very cool to have you on.
Thanks for having me on, guys. This is great.
Heck yeah. So first and obviously most important question. I know there's a regular trip to and from Bronte on Tuesdays for tags. But outside of that, or maybe including that, how many kilometers you putting on your car this year, and how you feeling about the year so far?
I haven't done the math on that one yet, but I got to figure somewhere in the neighborhood of 30,000. I'm guessing 25 to 30,000. Yeah.
You're an animal. I thought I was putting a lot of kilometers on my car, but you're doing laps around me, buddy. And the season so far, you feeling good about how things are rolling?
Yeah, it's the last month and a half to 2 months. I've been playing pretty good. Always want improvement. You always want to keep improving, no matter who you are, no matter where you're playing, what level you are. Yeah, I've been throwing some consistent 900s lately. And in the MA50, you got to throw 900s to win. If you're not winning.
Heck yeah. And I know that we're going to hit a few different questions about some accomplishments, some goals you might have. One that I wanted to hit, though, is something I know that's very fresh. We're recording this on Tuesday, the 8th, and it's ratings day. And you had told me and a few folks in our group chat that heading into the season last year, you were hoping to be in the 875 to 880 range. And you hit that today for the first time, as I remember it. So first off, congratulations on hitting a big goal. Any sort of reflections on the journey to get here? Anything that you're sort of feeling today about, something I know that you've been working towards for a long time?
Yeah, I mean, my very first sanctioned tournament, I think I was 856 or 865 rated or something like that. I didn't know anything. It was my first tournament, and I sat there and I looked at other people. I said, you know what, I could be 900 by the end of the year. And I didn't realize what that entailed. And I actually went down for the rest of the year. I got as far down, I think I went down to like an 813 and where I should have been. So it's taken a while, just like everyone else. Just keep playing, get better. And the problem that I'm facing now, not really a problem, but the issue that I'm facing now is I've got so many events that they're calculating over the last calendar year that I am using almost 100 rounds. So to move the needle, I mean, I got to throw 950s and 960s if I want to go up to an 890 from where I am. So the fact that I'm throwing 900s, it is moving up. This is the biggest jump I think this is my biggest jump of the season. It went up 6 points. Because last year I had a lot of bad rounds, and all those ones are starting to fall off. So that's given the boost a little bit of help. And I think I'm at 46, so I think I have 9 more events. And I don't know how many rounds it was. I think it was 20 rounds or something like that. 22 rounds I got coming. But if I can keep doing that 900 rated stuff to finish out the year, I should be able to get over 880, which isn't amazing, but for what the goal was, it's perfect.
So Tobin, let's take it back to the beginning of your disc golf journey. How did you originally get into the sport? What was that journey kind of looking like for you?
I'm a COVID guy, just like many. I I was sitting on the couch. Me and Patricia and Bailey and Lily, our other dog, we used to hike the Bruce Trail all the time, or go anywhere and just hike. And during COVID, for some reason, they shut down the trails, which didn't make sense, but follow the rules. And so I was sitting on the couch, and City of Burlington tweeted about Tyandaga Golf Course. So we've got a nine hole course we just installed. And I didn't have anything to do, so my buddy Tim Keeler, he has kids, and I just assumed he had frisbees. And I said, "Hey man, you got a couple of frisbees I could borrow?" And unbeknownst to me, he had been playing disc golf for about almost a year, maybe. Um, and he said, "Well, I got a couple of discs for disc golf." I said, "Yeah, that's what I need." So it was the middle of winter, January 30th. There's snow on the ground. It was like minus 15. He gave me a couple of putters, threw some ribbons on it, and me and Patricia went out. And I think we played. I think we played 18 or 27 holes the first time, and hooked ever since. It was just totally hooked. I've told some other people this story, but I played softball for 20 years before this, and I had one team. We were coming off a six-time championship, back in the six in a row championships in A division co-ed. Had another men's B division team or A division team that had won back to back. And ever since I picked up that disc January 30th, I haven't touched a glove, a ball, a bat, anything. Just where when I started playing. But yeah, that's how I got into it. And yeah, I don't do anything half-assed.
How quickly after you started throwing did you start playing tournaments?
So back when I started in 21, there was True North, through True North.
I remember those.
What was his name?
Tyler Turcotte?
Tyler, yeah. Tyler
Yeah.
used to some not MA1, MA2 type of tournaments, like red, blue, purple, red, white,
Mhm.
purple types of tournaments. And I went out with that's where I met Nikki Shanks and um, a couple other guys, and they're all still playing today. We were all new at the same time, and I just went out and I think my very first tournament, I was in a playoff. I won a playoff in my very first tournament for 8. It was a playoff for 8 to break the cash up. So yeah, it's just everything about the sport. I mean, I golfed for my whole life. My first job was at Mississauga Golf and Country Club, so I was golfing quite a bit back in the day, years ago. And the one thing I did find easy about playing tournaments in disco, I didn't have to waste time or energy learning the etiquette. I didn't have to. All I had to do was think about was getting this disc into the basket. I didn't have to worry about, oh, am I in someone's line? Did I throw too early? Am I allowed to do this? The rules are essentially the same. I had to learn a few things, and obviously you can tell by the PDGA book there's some rules that you got to look into. You really got to look into them, and you think you know something, and then it changes, and you think, yeah, it happens in tournaments. It's everything about this sport is great. You get the exercise, you get the people, you get the competition, you get camaraderie because you're all playing together and cheering for each other, even though you're trying to beat them.
Mhm.
I wouldn't call it a love-hate relationship when I'm doing a tournament, but when I show up to a tournament, I'm coming to beat you. But I want you to do well too.
Absolutely. I agree with all that. It's absolutely why I think all of us love the sport and love tournaments. So Galen mentioned one of your goals this year was to play fewer tournaments, and that didn't. I think you've missed that goal by a large margin. Unfortunately, I hate to break it to you, but you failed at accomplishing that goal.
Yes,
But for amazing, super cool. What are your goals in the sport when you were coming? So other than that, like, what were your goals for this year? What aspects of your game are you working on? How is that progressing?
So thing I worked on the most last year was putting. I was a horrible putter. I mean, when I started, I was forehanding most of those. I played my first year and a half forehand, and I could win an event playing forehand, but the math's just not there. You gotta know both. So about 2.5 years I've been working on the backhand, and it's gotten good. But putting. In ball golf, you putt about 30% of the time in ball golf, maybe 33%. But in disc golf, you're 45% of the time you're putting. If you can't putt, you can't win, you can't compete. So I knew I had to improve my putting, and it's still not good, but it's far superior this year than it was. I'm actually going at the basket instead of trying to get it to the basket. Um, the the mindset was if I could just improve 2 strokes around putting, and I'm in a 3 round tournament, that's 6 strokes. And if you look at most leaderboards, if you move up 6 strokes, you're killing it. Whether you're going from 10th to third or whether you're going from fourth to first, 6 strokes in a 3 round tournament is massive. So just keep working on it because everyone you're always going to have the bad drives. They're going to happen. But like I said, if you can't putt, you can't win. So that's the thing that I worked on the most. One of the things in about January is when I sort of halfway through January is when I started to figure out, yeah, I might be doing something here. I work at Ford Plant. I was going to be laid off all year. I figured, oh, I'll go and play a whole bunch of tournaments. And signed up for some like Ledgestone and Deglow early in January, February, March, whatever. And I had a bunch of other ones that I signed up for. I'm not sure if I'll get in them, but they're big and I want to get in them. So got into a bunch of tournaments. And then in April, or just before April, we got word that we weren't going to be in a 6 to 8 month layoff. We were going to be in a 2.5 year layoff. And I'm like, well, I guess, all right, I got all the free time in the world. So I figured I'd go out and uh, I just, the logistics of it was getting dates that I'm only allowed to cross the border because I'm collecting EI at certain times on weekends. I can't go over on sometimes and do a practice round on a Friday and do a tournament Saturday. I have to show up blind. Or I utilized all my vacation days. I had 6 weeks vacation and I just used them strategically and it allowed me to go to the States. I think I've been 8 times this year, maybe 9 times down to the States. Just I use a full week for Ledgestone, a full week for Deglow, and then I throw days here and there, and other times I go and play the course blind, which it turns out I think I played the first round better blind. It's my first round after playing blind. It doesn't work so well. But one of the main things I wanted to make sure I did this year was after I decided, okay, I'm going to see if I can break Thomas's record. Was I don't want it to negatively affect my rating. I don't want to just go out to play and play. I want to go out and score well. I don't want just volume. I want quality with the volume. And yeah, finishing off this year, I think 8 out of my last 12 rounds have been over 900, and so everything's coming together at the right time of the year. We'll see. I needed to carry on for another week and a half to 2 weeks through provincials, but yeah.
Everything's coming up Millhouse. For those of us that are of an older vintage, hopefully that reference makes sense. So we were actually planning on bringing that up, but I'm glad you did. So you've now beaten Thomas Gilbert's record of the most sanctioned events in a year. Any reflections on the process to getting there? I know you sort of talked a little bit about planning out the year and seeing when you had time, when you could cross the border, having that little bit of extra ability to do that with being laid off. But you're there, and you've got a couple more events on the horizon. So I would imagine at like this point in the season, when I'm thinking about disc golf, I'm thinking about more reflections on what's already come than what's in the next couple of weeks for me. So, any thoughts you want to share on getting to such a crazy milestone, and what comes next for you with volume of sanctioned events? Is it maybe another year where you try to put some crazy numbers down, or do you look at dialing back somewhere in the middle? Yeah, how do you feel about taking that record down, and what do you think is next for you?
Yeah, so it definitely felt good to break the record. I always, no matter what it is, you got to set goals at the beginning of the year or when you start something, however big or however small the goals are. And I knew I'm not the best MA50 player. I mean, I'm decent now. I can compete with the guys. But I wanted to see if I could achieve something. And I like numbers, and I saw 42 events. That seems pretty good for a Canadian, just because we have that 3 or 4 months really without sanctioned events up here. So yeah, the logistics of setting it all up. But I didn't want to. I didn't want to affect my rating. I just wanted to. I just wanted to compete and maintain or get better, which is what's happened. I don't know what's happening for next year. I think maybe I'll stay true to my word and probably only do half as many or less. But I do plan for retirement in about 4 or 5 years. The first year, me and Patricia maybe live in a van down by the river and tour the U.S. And I mean, I guess it would be kind of cheating if I'm not living in Canada, but I'm a Canadian, and heck, maybe I do 150 or 200 tournaments in a year. I don't know. For next year, I'm thinking of. I can't come up with a number or a way to judge it or make it make sense, but somehow use volunteering as a number. Look for events where I could volunteer at. How many? I mean, there's really no number, but something more giving back as opposed to playing. And we'll see how that goes. Still got to get through this year before worry next year. There's some tough dates coming up. I'm okay, but I'm worn out.
I can imagine.
There's certain parts that, I mean, when almost every Monday when I come back on a Monday, I'm on the couch. I mean, I'm not really functioning. I don't disc golf on Mondays anymore. I don't play as much as I did during the week, but I do like going to tags and playing with buddies, at least 1 or 2 during the week. But almost every weekend's filled. And it's actually one of the negative things that I had to think about was I'm not neglecting, but I'm missing out on a lot of friends things and family things that are weekends and things that go on that we have away from disc golf. And the first few months it was difficult with a couple of non-disc golf friends, because like, what do you mean you're busy? What do you mean you're busy? And the close friends, they all get it now. They know what I was trying to do. And yeah, but I mean, May 2-4 is the only weekend I don't guarantee that I don't disc golf on, because I've had probably a 22-year camping tradition with some non-disc golf friends. And this year I have I just had a wedding, so I was at WolfKat, which is a trail hub, on Sunday. I joined that late. That was normally I'm in tournaments when registration opens. I'm usually in, whether it sells out or not. I'm always in, and I can decide later. WolfKat, I probably only signed up about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. I had a wedding on Saturday, which started in the mid-afternoon and carried on well into the night. And that was down here. And I don't know what time we got home, but it was definitely late, and had a couple hours sleep. The car was packed, and we drove up to Uxbridge. And I've always said the Blueberry Brawl is the most physically demanding tournament in Ontario, but between that, Wild Country, and Trail Hub, those are punishing courses. They'll tire your legs out. And yeah, so I squeeze in tournaments wherever I can. At Ledgestone, I went down. I think I was down there for 12 days in total, and I played 8 sanctioned flex events before I played Ledgestone. And I actually had to cancel. I realized about the 5th round, on the 5th day, because they have a couple of tough courses down there too. They're very demanding. I realized about 5 days in that I'm probably not going to be able to perform at the tournament, which is the main goal of going down here, to keep this up. So I pulled out of Northwood Black. Everyone talks about Northwood Black, and I'm like, but it was the day before the tournament, and I said I got a rest or I won't be able to do it. So I pulled out of that, and in fact, before I even came home from Ledgestone, I pulled out of two of Deaglow's flex events. I mean, it wasn't for another 3 or 4 weeks, and I think I was signed up for 6 of those, and I ended up pulling out of 2 of those before I even left Ledgestone. So I had a couple bumps in the road. I had got a tick bite earlier this year that took me out, and got to say, the only thing I've had worse pain than that was kidney stones years ago. Never felt anything like it. Had to pull out of a Saturday tournament, one of Spencer's tournaments up north, and then a Sunday tournament in London. So I lost 2 tournaments there. On Memorial Day, I went down to the States, and there was an issue with the players and the TD and the owner of the property. As we arrived literally 15 minutes before check-in, the tournament got canceled. So I drove all the way to New York, and 15 minutes before the tournament or players check-in started, I said, "Oh, tournament's canceled. Everyone go home." So yeah, I missed about 4 or 5 tournaments. There was a possibility I'd get to 60, but there's 2 that I have to register for right now, and that should bring me in at 55 when I'm done. Although December, I have end of November, and in December, I think there's 3 in there, and I don't know if they'll be played. I mean, I'm anticipating they'll be played, but if you go down there and there's a blizzard, it's probably not going to be a tournament. So it's another reason why I wanted to make sure I had up and above 50. Just in case at the end of the year was a disaster. I had to try and think of everything. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, 50th will be in the States. It's called the Patriot, and it's near Rochester in Brockport, and that is the week after Provincials, I believe. And that Provincials is number 49 on the year. So we'll see how the year turns out.
So, Tobin, last year you managed to come out with the most PDGA points of any Ontario-based player in the MA50 division, taking it down by a cool 20 points, 366 to 346. But this year you are well on your way to repeating with almost 3 times as many points as your next closest competitor at 1,209 to 457. What is it like seeing progress like that on something that I know was a personal goal for you? And what does next year's target look like? We kind of already went over this a little bit, but
yeah. So the year that I was the MA50 points champion was 2022. I did something similar where I was chasing points at the end of the year, going to Ohio and Pennsylvania and North Carolina for the Carolina Clash and all that in November and December. And I ended up, I think I got him by 6 points. Last year, Michael Campbell, actually, he played quite a few events, and he got, I think he ended up with 560 or 580 points last year. And I said, well, I need my title back. So, yeah, events like Ledgestone, like you go to A tiers, big A tiers in the States, there's so many points. And everyone collects different points. Like what I get for MA50 isn't what you would get in MA1 or Pro or anything like that, or MA2. Depending on the tier, whether it's A, B, or C tier, you would multiply. Points are every person you beat, you get a point.
Hey, hang on a second here. I'm not sure what criteria. There's a discrepancy here somewhere, but I'm on PDGA's player statistics. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at 2023 amateur class division played MA50 from the province of Ontario, and Tobin Izatt has the most points at 366. What am I missing? I'm sure you pay more attention to this than me.
If you toggle at the very top, you'll see. I think it says Pro or Am or Any. There's a button you can toggle up there. If you switch it to Any, because Michael Campbell played in a pro event at one point, so his MA50 points, even though they were in MA50 as an amateur, he has a section of him that's a pro, so it doesn't convert it over. So
okay. I just want to make sure we're giving you enough credit here. Okay, sorry. So you lost your crown in 2023, and then your friend Galen reminded you of it by making you relive the fact that you didn't finish first, and then you came back in 2024 with a vengeance. The floor is yours.
Yeah. So events like Ledgestone and Deaglow, there's just so many points. Anyway, so you get a point for each person you beat. For MA50, if it's a C tier, I multiply that by 3. If it's a B tier, I multiply it by 4.5. And if it's an A tier, I multiply it by 6. So I think I had 5 A tiers this year, and you get a big field and you perform well. You're getting a lot of points. But even going to the flex events where there may only be 2 or 3 people in it, if you finish first in that, there's 9 more points. And if you do 46 events, even a tournament with 9 points, if you do enough of them, it all adds up. But yeah, the fact that I'm playing better this year and beating more people this year is part of the reason I have more points, in addition to just playing more and bigger events. But I have one more. I have provincials, which is an A tier. I think we've got 20, 25 or 28 in that division. There's still a lot of points left to be had. See if I can say I'm fairly certain I can get to 1,300, maybe 1,400. I don't think there's enough opportunity to hit 1,500 points with what I have left. But yeah, I'm trying to set a number that's going to be very difficult to beat for anyone. The other thing, not just playing the events, one of the things I had to make sure of that they were all in the same division. Like Thomas's was all MPO. He didn't just go all over the place and play different. As a pro, I guess he can't. But I didn't want to go to MA1, MA2, MA3, MA40 just because they were hosting it, like Foxwood. Foxwood is an A tier, but they don't offer MA50, so I don't bother. That's a tournament I'd like to go in, but I have to go to the States because there isn't an MA50 that weekend for me. So it was a matter of finding tournaments that worked, that were all MA50 and not having to deviate to other divisions. For example, November 9th and 10th coming up. I had a free weekend because there's nothing in Ontario. I couldn't find anything in Michigan or in New York, and Michigan and New York are the two that I travel to the most. And I just got frustrated, and I just started looking. And on the Saturday, I found a tournament in Ohio, and it's only about 3 hours and 15 minutes away. So I can play that. I'll play it blind because I don't have vacation hours left to go down. And then as soon as the tournament's over, on the way back, as I passed through Pennsylvania, I found a tournament on Sunday in Pennsylvania. So I'll hit that one up on Sunday, and 2.5 hour ride home. So like I said, it's been fun making it work. I mean, when I'm doing it, I'm tired. I sleep in that truck a lot, in the Explorer. I've got a good bed set up there. Sometimes Patricia and the dog come with me, and it's a little more cramped, but the three of us get in there and save on hotels. If I go to Ledgestone or Deglow for a week, then yeah, I'm getting an Airbnb with some friends. But when I'm going down to 6 hour drive into Ohio for 2 nights, I'm sleeping at a rest area. I'm sleeping at Walmart, wherever I'm sleeping. So a lot of the times you can just sleep right at the course, and yeah, and it's fun. It's got different moments to it. See a lot of different. I'll tell you, see a lot of different courses. I'm up to 113 courses now in 4 years, and I was only at about 65 to 70. I think when I started this year, somewhere in that range. I've done like 35 courses this year, I think. So, but it's great seeing different layouts and just going to different tournaments and seeing different TDs and how they run things and how their community appreciates them or doesn't appreciate them. You can tell when you go to them. Yeah, it's been a heck of a journey, that's for sure. And it'll probably suck when it's over, but I'm tired. I mean, I'm tired. It's it'll be over soon.
Oh man,
I'll sleep on bed.
That I love that. Yeah, my what I always say to my wife that probably pisses her off is sleep is for the weak. But whether it's playing a record number of courses, setting a record for the number of sanctioned events, reaching the ratings goal. I think this has been a year that I can't imagine you could possibly, or anybody could possibly characterize as anything but a massive success. And yet there is still at least one more big highlight that I want to hit. Just under a month ago, I think at this point, about 3 weeks ago, after 192 sanction rounds over the last 4 years, you finally hit your first tournament ace. So paint me a picture. What was the hole? What did you throw? And what was it like finally having that sweet, sweet one on the card in a sanctioned event?
So we were at, I'll say, I mean, I don't have a lot, but I got 8 aces. I mean, I've aced 18 at Bronny twice. I mean, I can ace. But for some reason, I've never been able to ace in a tournament. I may have hit metal twice. I just can't. I just could never get it. So I was playing Attack of the Grassman is the name of the tournament. It was in West Branch State Park in is that Ohio or Pennsylvania? I'd have to think, but Ohio or Pennsylvania. And it's the second round. There's 3 holes left in the tournament, and I had just I think I might have just bogeyed, or anyways, I fell off. I was lead card, but I was in 4th place. I was 1 stroke back of the 2 guys tied for second, and I was 2 strokes back of the guy in first. And I look at those leaderboard, and I'm like, so I said, and we got along with these. Everyone got along, and I said to the one guy, I said, well, looks like I got to make up 2 strokes in the last 3 holes if I want to do anything here. And I went up, and it's a hole that actually this club had worked on because it's got such a drop off behind the basket that people that were semi-parking them, it would just keep sliding and it would go down a hill and you'd be punished for a decent shot. So they sort of built the back of it up with a little bit of a ledge, almost level for about 15 feet. But you can't see the basket; it's blind. You have to get about 20 feet off the tee pad to see the basket. A lot of trees on these courses, very wooded. And I went up with a disc that Oz had loaned me a Thunderbird. I ran out of, I had lost all my beat-in Thunderbirds at one point. And I had a ton of Thunderbirds, but none of them were beat in, and they just don't fly the same. And I was talking with Oz about it, and he loaned me, or gave me 2 of them. And one of them was going really good. It's got the Canada logo on it and everything. And I went up and forehand. It's about 240 feet, I think, forehand, just around the corner. And we see it go up, and we hear the chains on the card. And oh, yeah. And the spotters are volunteers, and they're not really into it like we are and all that. So he looks back, and he just goes like that, and he just gives a quick thumbs up, and we're like, well, is it in? Is it not in? And he's looking, so we run ahead, and as I saw it, he goes, yeah, you're in. I'm like, what do you mean, yeah, I'm in? Yeah, I'm in. But that was a good feeling. It got the monkey off the back. So
casual. Yeah, you're in.
Yeah, and that launched me into a tie for first with 2 holes left. And we get up to the next hole. I have the best drive. I'm about 18 feet. And he's only getting, the guy that's tied with me, he's only getting par. He's not getting the birdie. I got a shot at it. I put the putt up, and I hit the cage, and it drops down. No problem. I'm historically a low putter, bad putter, whatever. We get to the very next hole after that. That guy was in the group in front of us. He had only parred it, and I had the chance to pull ahead. Didn't happen. We go to the next hole. I watch him tee off. He's got a putt for birdie, and he misses it, so he takes a par. So all I have to do is birdie, and I win because it's my last hole of a shotgun start. I put it down there, and it's all the way downhill. And we all think I'm about 50, 60 feet off into the side hill off to the right. And we finally find the disc, and I'm about 8 feet above the basket, but I'm only 20 feet away. I'm looking down at it. And I got a legitimate shot to win. And off the band. At least I didn't hit the cage. So I hit the band, and he ended up birding his last hole, and didn't get the win, but didn't matter. I had an ace. I was smiling the whole way home across the border.
That is so sick. Amazing. So you mentioned you've played a bunch of you go into the US to play a bunch of tournaments. You played Ledgestone and Deglow this year, like two of the biggest tournaments in the world. How did you like playing a tournament of that scale before or this year? How many players are you up against it at like Ledgestone?
I think Ledgestone was 84. I think Ledgestone was 84 guys in MA 50.
Wow.
And my goal was top 50. Surprisingly, after the most of the way through the second round, I did a thing this year also where I'm not looking at the scoreboard as much, although I've sort of gotten away from that in the last month and a half. But at Ledgestone was the first time in a while I'd looked while I was playing. And I was sitting there, I'm like, that can't be right. And I was in 10th place. And then because I looked at the score, I fell off a little bit. And eventually I settled in, I don't know if I 43rd or 47th, but my goal was top 50. I mean, I was ranked 62nd out of 84 people, and I got 43rd or 47th or something like that. So it was a success. I just feel I'm better after every tournament. I've learned something after every tournament, and get to Deglow, and I didn't make as many mistakes, but I found, even though it was a smaller field, everything about Deglow is a third of the size of Ledgestone, whether it's the players' party, whether it's the amount of players, whether it's the amount of pros, whether it's the number of people in your division. Everything's about a third. So there wasn't quite as many people in it, and some guys played well. So I didn't, standings-wise, I didn't do as great as I'd hoped, but I shot well. I mean, a couple hiccups here like everybody else, and but the two of those events, we get some pros coming up, like the RIP event that was at Hope Goat. I didn't go to that because they didn't offer my division. I was somewhere else. But the amount of pros that were there, I can just imagine how good that would be for people that don't get to go to the States and travel around. But I'm telling you, like at Ledgestone, that's another reason why I was exhausted. It wasn't just the flex events. I was chasing pros. I don't have the disc here, but I've got over 40, 45 signatures on a disc, and it's a lot of work to go get all those signatures. But the access that you have to the players at these big events is incredible. I did play with the pros for both of them as well. I played with Paige Pierce and Cannon Burr at Ledgestone, and then went at Deglow. Did James Conrad twice and Kristen Tatar 3 times. Gave one to Dougie Michaud. Gave him a chance to play. But yeah, if you ever get a chance, whoever you are, even if you don't go play, like going to play a tournament like that and a Spectre when it's pro and am, it's hard on you. You're going to be tired because you've got to do your 3-day tournament plus your practice rounds, and at the same time you're trying to go watch the pros, and you're going to be exhausted. You're going to be doing a lot of walking. But I do recommend it, even if you're just going down to watch them. Go down and watch a big event. Go down with 3 or 4 friends, split an Airbnb, and just cruise around with the pros. They're pretty cool. They're all pretty welcoming.
Now you said you were chasing the pros, but I mean, if people follow you online, the pros were chasing you. We saw, if I remember right, it was Emily Weatherman coming to get your autograph, and then Owen Scoggins coming to get your autograph. She was like, "Oh my God, it's Tobin! Can you please sign this disc?" I've got a lot of signed discs. I don't even have a Tobin disc. I need to get one. Do you know how I can facilitate that? But most amazingly, afterwards, she gave you, and I think I see it behind you, her World Mixed Doubles Championship trophy.
PDGA World's Mixed Doubles Championship trophy from
that she won with Joel Freeman. Is that right?
Joel Freeman. Yeah. So,
what's the story?
The quick version is, after round 1, Owen was in first place at -9. I don't know how big of a lead she had, but she was in first place. And I had brought her. I promised her I'd bring her a 6-pack of hazy IPA, and I you can meet the pros after their round at the signing tables and all that, and eventually they leave to the players' parking lot off to the side, which you have to have access to. At Ledgestone, I had a VIP pass. I had a VIP pass at both tournaments, but at Ledgestone, that doesn't get you into the players' lot. That just gets you into food over here and special viewing areas and all that. But thankfully, Colleen McInnes was playing FPO, so got to hang out with Colleen and got to hang out into the players' lot and having some beers with Owen, and we had a good time for a few hours. And she promised. She goes. If I win, D-Glow, she goes, you can have the D-Glow trophy. And she had prefaced that with that she gives all her trophies away. I mean, most of these people are on the road, and unless they're back and forth to home all the time, so she goes, I like sharing this stuff with everybody, and she's really really down to earth, pretty cool. So yeah, she gives away every trophy she ever wins. So that happened, and then rounds later, so we get to the final round, and obviously she didn't win. Holland Hanley won. So we're having more beers out in the parking lot after a round, and I wasn't thinking anything. She said I could have the D-Glow trophy. She didn't win the D-Glow trophy, so she comes around the corner with a box, and what's that? And I open it up, and it's wrapped in bubble wrap and everything, and it's a giant crystal. I mean, this thing's fairly heavy for its size. It's much heavier than it looks. It's pretty solid. I don't know what you can see on there, but it's the 2024 from Lynchburg PDGA Doubles World Championship. And,
that is amazing.
And yeah, so
so when are we playing a tags match for that? Is what I want to know.
You can try and get tag 13 first, and then we'll work on a trophy.
I really love that, man. Something that we always ask the pros when we have them on. We have sort of a series of rapid fire questions. We always ask them what their dream card would be. And I don't know that the three of us have ever answered like on the podcast, but she is 100% on my dream card. I mean, like, just an incredible player, but the vibes seem absolutely off the chart.
I'm a little biased because she gave me a trophy, but now that I've been to those two big events, and I try and meet pros when they're around. I mean, I'm one of Thomas's biggest fans, just like everyone says they are. But Thomas told me I have the biggest Thomas Gilbert collection. I got the Brixton cards, the discs, clothes, everything like that. So obviously Thomas is always going to be in my top card, but met a lot of pros, especially at Licensor. Never met anyone like Owen before. She's tops. She's really good.
I just sort of meant that as a sort of throwaway comment because it's something that we talk about. But do you want to round that out and feel free to recant or change any of those answers? But without doing our full rapid fire, if you were to make an ideal card of 4 people, they can be disc golfers, they can be not disc golfers, they can be pros, they can be AMs. So, if you take Owen or Thomas off because we've expanded the Marvel Cinematic Universe of potential players, that's fine. But if you could play with 3 other people to make a card of 4, who would they be?
Oof. Always want to play with my buddy Tim Keeler. He got me into he loaned me my first disc, so he's got to be in. I'd really like to play with Scott Stokely. I've had a chat with him at Ledgestone more about age, and we view the game a little differently than someone that's 20 or 25 that's still getting to their potential. I mean, Paige Pierce is a world champion. When I first started delving into videos, when I first started playing and trying to watch videos, and you've got Eagle McMahon and Calvin and all these big guys, and they're all launching discs, and the correlation to me didn't work in my head. So I started watching the females, and obviously Paige was good, and watched a lot of Paige videos, and then after playing with her and not just playing with her, but having actual conversation with her. Like she's sort of forced to have a conversation with me because I'm on the card with her. But they don't have to talk to us; they just have to play with us. And she was really down to earth, way more down to earth than I thought. Yeah, that would be a good card in my mind.
Oh, that'd be awesome. And I love hearing you say that too, because I look at things the same way. Like when I watch Simon Lizotte, Eagle McMahon launch a disc 700 feet, I watch, Paul or Ricky make a putt from 80 feet without stepping or jumping. Yeah. I go, okay, that is just
unrealistic.
That's a foreign thing that happens somewhere else in the world. That's not my reality. I'm not learning anything watching that, but I'm going, holy crap, that is so cool. In the same way that if I watch Connor McDavid dangle 3 guys out of their jock straps, or Austin Matthews snipe 70 goals, that's not teaching me anything. And this is a sport where I really enjoy it as a spectator, but I also really enjoy trying to get better. And I have found I've learned so much more watching the Colleen McInnes's, the Kristen Tatars, the Owen Scogginses, the Paige Pierces than anybody else. And when I was first getting into it, Paige was the hottest FPO player on the scene. She was shredding. She was playing out of her gourd, and I mean, still is, but she was on a different level at the time than anybody else. And so for me, that was who I watched. I went, she has the cleanest form, the smoothest putt, the crispest drive. And so anyway, I not to take this on too much of a further tangent than I already have.
You're interviewing Tobin, not you.
I love it, dude. Hey, man, anytime you're talking with me, it's an interview. Just, get this face on camera. I'll pretend that we can hide the hairline with a hat. Life is good.
Love it.
But I'll yield my time to somebody else to ask Tobin a better question.
We want to hear from Tobin, not you, Galen. Jeez, we hear from you enough every single week on this show. But Tobin, we talked about Ledgestone, we talked about D-Glow. What was your favorite event this year, and which remaining one in 2024 are you most looking forward to end the season?
So I know for certain the one I'm looking forward to the most is Provincials.
Heck yeah!
At the end of each year I've played, I've not fallen apart. I just haven't played well. At the end of 2022, 2023, not this year yet, but just played really bad. And that's when the good tournaments are, like Brawny Classic. It's my home course. Played it 3 times, and I've come in last, second last, and like 4th last. And I mean, I should be able to compete there, and for some reason I haven't been able to. So, the Provincials is what I'm looking forward to. I'm not saying I'm going to win. I look at that because it's qualifiers now. It's all qualified winners that have gotten these positions. I look at the field of 25 or 28 guys. There's a couple names up there that I'm like, yeah, they're probably going to perform well, but I'm not scared of them. Anyone that's close to 900 rated now, if they're 905 or less, I don't even consider them competition. I consider them competition, but I can beat them. But I look at that list of 25 or 28 names. I could win, and I could come in second or third last just as easily. There's someone has their day. They have their day, and if I don't, then I don't. But Provincials just for myself after a long year, and things are coming together at the right time. Like I said, a month and a half, the last 2 months playing well. I'd like a top 5 at Provincials, but top 10 will do. Top 10 will do. For the tournament that I've loved the most this year, I've always said the Blueberry Brawl is my favorite tournament because it's a small tournament.
I'm right there with you.
It's only 84 people because it's only 22 holes and a shotgun start. So you have that camaraderie in between rounds and throughout the weekend. The thing I like about it the most is it's physically punishing. I like 22 holes twice a day for 2 days, and it's a hilly course. And after 88 holes, I don't know anyone that walks out of there, with the jump in their step. Everyone's tired. Whether it's
I was about to say, you said that it's only 22 holes, but I'm thinking back to the Blueberry Brawl walking off the course like, God, why is this 22 holes?
Yeah, I love tournaments like that. I like the physical part of disc golf too, not just the technical part. I think it gives me a bit of an advantage in MA50. I feel that I'm in decent shape for for a 50 to 59-year-old person comparatively to some people in my division. So, yeah, I don't want to play short shorts. I want to play short longs. Yeah, I don't want to play 18. I want to play 22, like a little bit more of a challenge. But after having played, and Galen can probably attest to this, I'm not sure if you two are the Wild Country, Andrea's Wild Country. That course, the course itself isn't difficult. It's long, and the long grass in the fairway is what tires
punishing.
You up. It's maybe you don't go into the grass every turn, but someone on your card almost every turn is going into the grass, whether it's you, or you. And you all go help your card mates go looking. And I'll never forget that second round. We were 5.5 hours, and
oh my goodness,
no word of a lie. 2.5 hours of that, we never waited on a tee pad. 2.5, well, maybe a couple of times, but 2.5 hours of that was wading through the knee-high grass and bushes. We came out of there, and I was done. Vern and I cramped up with 3 holes left to go. We couldn't even raise our legs in the long grass anymore. We had to walk on the fairways, and it was punishing. So yeah, those are my favorite types of tournaments. WolfKat Classic, up and down a ski hill all day, 2 rounds in one day. That's the kind of tournaments I like. So those are probably my tournaments that I like the most this year.
You've played a crazy person. Nah, you are a crazy person.
Yeah, I was just about to say I have played half the amount of tournaments that you have, approximately half, and I am approximately half of your age. Sorry to throw that stat out there. But I feel like I've had a long season, so I can't even imagine how you're feeling. The fact that you're still competing is inspirational to someone like me looking at, when I hit Tobin's age, when I'm that handsome and I get to that level, I got something to look at and be like, I want to be like Tobin when I get there. I want to be out there grinding out tournaments and still battling it out, going to the Blueberry Brawl, going to WolfKat, going to Toboggan, all of these crazy physical courses through an entire season, and doing it like it's no problem at all. You are an inspiration, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah.
Next year, I will be joining MA50.
Right on.
Will you still be in MA50, or do you jump to 60?
Yeah, I've already started to look at problems coming up for me as far as being able to win, because if you go down to Ledgestone and Deglow, you could do 50, you could do 55. They have those half decades,
the half ones.
But when we're doing when we're doing C tiers in Ontario, it's 50s or 60s, and in a couple more years, I'm 53 now. I'll be 54 in February. So in a couple more years, I'm going to be up in 57, 58. And all these guys that are in 40 that can crush me right now, I mean, they're a couple.
All these young guns like me.
Yeah.
841, baby, down 2 ratings points this month. Let's go. I'm coming for you, Tobin.
I got a couple more years to figure out putting. If I can just keep improving the putting every year, I can fend off for a little bit longer. But
hey, just know that Robbie wants to be like you when he grows up. I think that's plenty of inspiration to keep the good times rolling.
Anyone can do it. You put your mind to it, you do it. You'll do it.
Well, I am excited and very much looking forward to next year being able to play on cards with you on the dozens of tournaments that we will probably end up playing together. It's going to be super fun. You're going to absolutely smoke me, and we will have an absolute blast doing it. I'd much rather lose to you than these young guns in MA40. And it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show with us tonight. We wanted to give you the floor. Any shout outs, any sponsors, anything that you would like to say before we wrap up. The floor is yours.
Well, thanks very much for having me on. I've never done anything like this before. This is great. Almost hilarious to me, but it's pretty cool. gives me a little more energy to finish off strong this year. I really appreciate this. Yeah, I mean, always Bronny Creek. You know, OCC champions. Let's go. Great club. It's a club I started with, and I'll stick with them forever. I mean, just that's it. And all the people at the club, obviously Oz, Colleen, many other people there. Like to give a shout out to Spencer Young. 3 years I've been with Gripped and Ripped. Got some news for next year. Next season, we'll worry about that later. Big shout out to Craig Snow, Goat Towel, Team Goat Towel. He's done some really amazing things for me over the last year. It was a dream. I dreamed to get taken on by Craig and Goat Towel, and I hope I'm doing my best to spread their name and show their product. Yeah, Goat Towel people.
I was about to say, my bag's in my car right now, so I can't show it off, but I've got that towel sitting on my bag right now, the Tobin Izatt goat towel, which looks so sick.
Yeah, got that all designed up. I'm really happy with it. Sold way more. Thank you, anyone and everyone that's watching that bought one. I love, that's another thing. I love going to tournaments or just at club, and I look down and someone's got my towel on their bag. I don't see. There's not hundreds of them, but I notice them when they're out there. There's quite a few that use them. And if anyone's interested, I don't expect anybody who's already bought a towel to buy another towel. But at the end of the year, to commemorate what I've trying to and accomplishing this year for a number of tournaments, I got a special version of a towel coming out.
Ooh, nice
little teaser.
That's a little teaser.
Drop.
Don't want to give out too much info, but yeah, I mean, obviously, I'd like to get some gas money covered and all that. I mean, doing all this, so I just try and promote myself. I don't think I'm better than anyone. I'm just trying to promote myself and cover gas money and some food and It's not cheap. It's on me. It's my choice to do this, but if I can make things a little cheaper and people like what I've got, like the goat towel, then I hope they buy it.
Oh, I'm sure you are going to sell out.
Same.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you, Tobinator X, Tobin, for joining us on Missed Mando. And we'll be right back with more of the show.
Welcome back to Missed Mando. Thank you so much to Tobin for joining us. I love that guy so much. And truly, like I said in the interview, an absolute inspiration playing that many tournaments in MA 50 and still going strong. Gives a young buck like me something to aspire to in life. And just a fantastic interview, hey guys?
Absolutely. What
the best.
What a great interview. Super fun. I love that we can have on people from different divisions, not just the pros, talk about different aspects of the sport and different perspectives. I think it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. But let's move on over to a little bit more of some pro talk and jump into some Pro Tour recaps. We had the Pro Tour, well, not the Pro Tour finale, because that's the DGPT championship, but the last DGPT, why does that mess me up so much? I don't know. The last DGPT playoff event of the year, the MVP Open, and let's throw it over to you, Shawnee G.
So we only got this one tournament left to recap this week, but it is a big one. My favorite event of the year, the final playoff of the 2024 season. It is one of everybody's favorites, I think. It's the MVP Open presented by OTB Discs, held at the number 1 rated course in North America, the absolutely stunning Maple Hill. As with the last 2 years, my wife Gabby and I were on staff at the event. Boom, staff. I was the certified official on hole 14, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Gabby was doing live scoring for FPO, and she was spotting on 9. Had an absolute blast. This year, there was a few notable changes to the course. Hole 1 has a new triple Mando called Chipmunk Gate, which looks like a big New England covered bridge. Hole 7 is entirely new. You're no longer throwing up a road. You're actually throwing in the trees. Hole 9 now has a ridiculously long extra shot across the pond and up a hill for the first ever par 5 at Maple Hill. All of these were welcome changes, and it keeps the course fresh and challenging for the pros. Over in FPO, Kristen Tatar continues her streak of heartbreak at Maple Hill for the third straight year, giving up a late lead. In 2022, she lost to Natalie Ryan in a playoff, friend of the show. In 2023, she lost to Haley King by 1 stroke. And in 2024, she throws OB on her approach, and Missy Gannon comes back to win by 2 strokes. Kristen had a fairly comfortable, not a big lead, but she was comfortably ahead, but then just started falling apart. They tied on hole 17, and surprisingly, her forehand chip shot into the green on 18 kind of went astray. It went OB. Not a shot that is, difficult for Kristen. Comparatively, Gannon, she's not known for her forehands, and she laced one in and got it and takes the win. It was amazing to be there for that. Odin Scoggins came in third. What an amazing event. I was talking with one of the other volunteers afterwards, and their theory is that maybe Kristen just doesn't want to take the winner's jump in the pond afterwards because it's kind of cold. But maybe next year she'll be able to take that leap. Over in MPO, it was a wild ride on the leaderboard throughout the event, with multiple players holding on the lead at some point. Going into the final round, it was Goose Gossage looking for his first DGPT win since he was sitting tied with Ricky Wysocki, and they were only 1 stroke ahead of Gannon Burr and 2 strokes ahead of James Proctor. Never a great position to be in. Paul Macbeth, though, he was trying to win this from the third card after shooting an incredible -11 final round. And that was with a bogey. Like, he was on fire. But ultimately, it was James Proctor who was able to rise above the competition, hitting an amazing 60-footer between 2 trees from the drop zone on 18 to win by 1 over Paul. Sitting there in the bleachers and trying to figure out whose disc just went OB, and then doing the math as to, was it Gannon? Was it Proctor? Oh my God, it was Proctor. It was thrilling. It was absolutely thrilling. The best of live disc golf. They bested Gavin Babcock, Gannon Burr, Aaron Gossage, and Wysocki. They were all rounding out the podium in a tie for third. As this was the last Pro Tour playoff event of the season, the points winners were also awarded at this event. In FPO, Missy Gannon's win also got her the most points of the season. And coming in second was Holland Handley, and third was Kristen, with Owen rounding up the top 4. Over on MPO, no surprise, Gannon Burr takes down the points championship, winning by a whopping 148 points over Ricky and Nicholas coming in third, Nicholas Antala, Calvin Heimberg in fourth. The top 4 in season points are all automatic All-Stars for next year's at the start of the All-Star event. And they also get they come in with a points advantage for the Pro Tour Championship. Before I throw it over to Robbie for some thoughts, I can't recommend enough how amazing this event is to come and watch. Our viewer or our listener should absolutely add it to their calendar for next year. I mean, there's Glowy at Maple Hill at night. There's the $20,000 CTP contest, which spectators get a chance to get $100 bills from Steve Dodge. There's the GK Pro Skins match. There's the 8 holes. We had a party on 14, the atmosphere on 18. Paige Pierce was playing catch with people in the shuttle line standing on the roof of her van. This is such an amazing event. I cannot recommend it enough to come and spectate. And if you're interested in volunteering for the event, being on staff like we are, let me know, and I can definitely put in a good word for you, because you definitely want to do that. Let's go over to Robbie. I've talked enough on this. Robbie, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Maple Hill and the MVP Open is definitely one that I want to go and experience. That the whole volunteer atmosphere, go down and spot on a hole for the whole weekend or pitch in however I can. Obviously, being out and spotting and being able to actually watch shots would be the most ideal. Shout out to last year's winner, Matty O, who gave Sean an absolute show on hole 14, where he was spotting on and splashed in an ace. And also shout out to Thomas Gilbert for getting the sickest video of that ace too, from the throw cam from behind him, taken on his phone in great quality too, like just a perfect video. And yeah, I mean, it's my favorite event of the year, arguably. I don't know what I would put ahead of it if I had to rank them. The course is just incredible. The history of this event too. And then just the madness that you get every single year. This year's final round was insane in both divisions coming down the stretch. You really didn't know who was going to win. Kristen misses a putt on 17 while Missy hits a big putt to tie it going into 18. And then they look like they're going to have easy pars to finish out. It's going to go to a playoff. Kristen messes it up. MPO, James and Aaron both go OB trying to get to the green as Aaron was pushing for it. And then James, of course, hits that crazy putt to round it out. And then, of course, Paul McBeth's minus 11, including a bogey. So he got 12 birdies in 18 holes at Maple Hill Golds, which is insane. And that round came in at 1085, but of course is not McBeth's highest rated round at Maple Hill, because in 2013, he shot a minus 14 at what was then the Vibram Open for a 1121 rated round. What a lot of people say is the best round of disc golf ever played. It's not the highest rated, because I think one of his rounds at Memorial is higher. But we all know that minus 14 at Maple Hill is the most impressive. So yeah, I mean, I'm stoked from this event still. And hopefully I can make it work to be able to go down and volunteer, spectate, be able to hang out with and schmooze with the pros. Sean was rubbing elbows with everybody out there, really getting the Missed Mando word around. I hope, at least that's what I'm imagining. Yeah, that's about it for my thoughts. Just what an event. It was exciting. The course is amazing. It's always so well run. Galen, what about you?
Yeah, Sean, next year you gotta track Owen down and go, hey, my buddy Tobin met you last year and he's got a trophy. No, I just two things I want to hit quickly. We already touched on Kristen missing her approach on 18. And I think it just bears a little bit of more tread on that tire, because that, for me, that's her best and most consistent shot. She is so good with the forehand, and that power forehand of hers is deadly. But if there's a shot that she executes more consistently and to a higher level than I would say probably anybody else on the Pro Tour, it is that little chip, 130 to 220 foot forehand. And, heading into that shot, if you had told me between Kristen and Missy and the rest of the card, if we're going to backtrack for their upshots, one of them is going to have a brutal miss and one of them is going to have, something that's almost absolutely perfect. I would feel, well, yeah, Kristen will park it and somebody else is going to miss. But the fact that she was short and wide, it just, I don't know. It's kind of weird seeing Kristen seem so mortal. Maybe we'll touch on that soon when we get to our Pro Tour previews. But, after a season and maybe a season and a half, maybe even 2 seasons, if you take sort of late 2022, when she was also on a bit of a run, a season and a half to 2 seasons of total dominance, she's still winning. For my money, she's still the best player in the world on the FPO side. But she's looking very vulnerable, very human in a way that she hasn't for a long time. And it's just interesting as we go forward. The other thing that I wanted to touch on quickly is, I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was a bit of a post making the rounds on Facebook. As we all know, of course, James Proctor hit this epic putt on 18 to take down the win, split the trees from the drop zone. It was perfect. But I just want to read quickly from 2 DMs here that were sent. Somebody, forgive me, sorry, I don't have credit in front of me, who DM'd James Proctor and said, "Hey, right before you putt, you looked down at your wrist and restarted your routine. What was that?" And Proctor DM'd back and said, "I have a wristband that says weak ass for my friend who passed away a few years ago. He used to say it all the time. Sometimes I talk to him and promise him I won't be weak ass." And it is taking all of the testosterone and manly energy in my soul to not tear up a little bit right now, honestly. Because, the fact that he had this insane moment on the biggest possible stage, and in that moment, the only thing he was thinking of was his best friend, who was still just come on, man. That is so cool. So, big shout out to James for taking that down. And with that, unless you guys have anything else you want to hit, I'm happy to move to a quick little picks recap. Yeah, sweet.
Full steam ahead, conductor.
So, yeah, let's keep on chugging, conductor. For once, Robbie is not taking it down. I know this has got to be weird for you, buddy. So recapping our picks, Robbie, for the tournament, you had Ricky Wysocki and Owen Scoggins, who both finished third. Ricky tied third, and Owen took, I believe, solo third. Average out 3 and 3. I know this is advanced math for some people. It's an average of 3. Sean had Nicholas Antala and Evelina Salonen. Nicholas has had some really high highs, but he's had some pretty low lows too. So he finished in a tie for 25th. Evelina, not quite up to that World Championship form, finished tied 9th, 9 and 25, cut it in half, averaging 17. Sean is. And I had Gannon Burr, and I had Kristen, and Kristen's heartbreak notwithstanding, and the fact that Gannon did not take down yet another tournament notwithstanding, with Gannon in a tie for third and Kristen in second. I averaged 2.5 and took down a rare win. So I will take that straight to the bank. And before the end of the season, we will make sure we do a recap and see how much Robbie beat you and I by, Sean. But I'll make sure it doesn't go to his head too much. Sure.
Yeah, I'm maintaining my season average of at least averaging top 5 in my picks, so I'll take it. I'm probably averaging a podium at this point in our predictions.
Very confident saying that you are. Yeah, and we'll verify that for a future episode. But if you guys are good, we will keep that train chugging, and I will act as the conductor temporarily, and we can go to our Pro Tour preview section and look ahead to the USDGC and Throw Pink. As we know, the season is almost over, but not before the last MPO major of the season, USDGC, and of course the unofficial 5th FPO major, the Throw Pink Championships at Winthrop in Rock Hill, South Carolina. This is the 26th annual, if you can believe it, USDGC and 11th Throw Pink. Ken Climo is still in the lead with the record of 5 wins. But this year, we still have some former champions playing. Dave Feldberg, Nate Doss, Paul Macbeth, James Conrad, Jeremy Coling, Nate Sexton, Gannon Burr, all with victories in the ledger. And so we'll see how this year plays out. And Winthrop, not the most exciting course to watch, but it still has some iconic holes. Hole 5, casual 1,025 feet, ending with a big water carry to a peninsula green that, if you have any wind, could get a little bit wild. There's, of course, the absolutely iconic Hole 7 with the bamboo wall triple Mando. We all love seeing highlights weekend of and as the years go on, depending on how great they are. And, of course, the famous Hole 17 Island, where if you miss, you do not get to advance to the drop zone until you have missed 3 shots. Last year, it was Kyle Klein taking it down after a stress-inducing double OB on 18 and a triple bogey to win by 1 stroke over Mr. Pig himself, succeeding Ricky Wysocki, Bradley Williams. His season hasn't been a major quality this year, so I wouldn't say he's the favorite to repeat, but anything could happen, especially USDGC. And the women will be playing an FPO layout on the same course for the Throw Pink A tier in name only event. All the top players in the field are there, including multiple friends of the show, Chantal Badinsky, Rebecca Dawn, Natalie Ryan, and Rebecca Cox. Amazing. Can't wait to watch them all play. Canadian Sandy Hendel actually also recently placed second in the qualifier that was played as we're recording about a day ago, and they're going to be joining the field. So a lot of familiar faces down there for us. Last year in FPO, it was Holland Hanley winning from the chase card, a little bit of intrigue there, and a little bit of controversy too over an OB call on 18. Kristen Tatar's last hole birdie, first to play off with Holland, who eventually took it down on the 17 island. So we're going to have to wait and see, guys. But the question for all of us right now, as we do our picks, is who is going to take these tournaments down this year? And to let folks know a little bit about how the sausage is made, as we sometimes do, we have our little notes app here. We're going to make our picks, but I see Sean maybe here wondering if we should do a top Canadian pick as well. So Sean, I'm going to throw to you first for your MPO and FPO picks, and then if you want to maybe explain what you're thinking here on the top Canadian side. I'd be open to doing something a little special here for sure. But you got to go off mute first.
Yeah, that's probably a pro tip right there. So I'm going to go, my pick for USDGC is going to be Paul Macbeth. Coming off scorching hot at MVP Open, and he wants to keep his streak alive. Was it 17 seasons or something like that, with at least one win in a year, or whatever the hell it is? I think
it's 14 seasons.
14, thank you.
Something like that.
Friggin' ridiculous. If he doesn't win this, the streak is over. So I think he's going to be absolutely a maniac trying to get this thing done, and he's peaking right at the right time. So my pick for USDGC is past winner Paul Macbeth. Over at Throw Pink, I don't think Kristen appreciates losing on the last hole at the MVP Open, and she's going to want revenge on the sport. And so I think she's going to come out with all guns blazing. So my pick for her is Kristen Tatar. As for my top Canadian thing, I haven't actually thought that far through.
The only problem with that too is there are only 2 MPO Canadians.
Well, I was just going to say there's a total of 5 Canadian pros between the 2 tournaments. If we want to just maybe pick one dark horse each, whether it's MPO or FPO, I'll just recap quickly. So we have on the MPO side, Marty Hendel and, of course, Thomas Gilbert. And in FPO, as we've already litigated, we have Chantal Badinsky, Sandy Hendel, and Rebecca Dawn. So I'm going to propose that we pick one Canadian dark horse each amongst the 5. So Sean, that being the case, if you're good with that, gentlemen, who do you like, Sean, amongst the Canadians that are playing these 2 events?
I'm going to take Rebecca Dawn.
That was my pick.
Yeah,
same.
Benefit of going first. She did pretty darn well at USWDGC earlier this year, so she's definitely going to be my pick.
Oh, I was just typing without being muted there. I'm sure Sean hates that. Okay, Rebecca Dawn, it is. And Robbie, you have drawn the medium straw this week. We'll go to you next for an MPO, an FPO, and a Canadian dark horse.
Well, my MPO pick is very easy because Sean left him here. He's won the tournament before, and winning it here would solidify himself as having one of the greatest MPO disc golf seasons of all time. He's already set the record for most money made. Winning USDGC would give him another, I think it's like 30 grand. Maybe it was 40 last year for the winner, actually. No, I think it was 30. It was 30 last year for the winner. Not sure if it'll be the same or more, but at least 30, I would assume. he could get close to 200,000 for the year, which would be absolutely crazy. What is, as Galen said, a little peek behind the curtain. As I was talking there, he wrote in my FBO pick and my Canadian pick, and he nailed it.
Am I wrong?
I know. He's
wrong.
He is 100% right. He's got Holland Hanley and Chantel Badinsky, and that is exactly what my picks are going to be. Holland, I've picked her all year long. I'm not going to stop now, except for the one time that I did stop was after Worlds, and she won. Not going to make that mistake again. She won here last year. Kristen is not in as good form. I think that Holland can absolutely take this down. And yeah, for the dark horse Canadian, I'm going to go with Chantel Badinsky.
I mean, do I know you or do I know you? I just had a feeling. I am going to go Ricky. I'm going to go Own. And I am going to go Thomas Gilbert.
Wow, Marty Hendel not getting selected, even though in 2019, I believe it was, he was on final round lead card of USDGC. Man knows how to play out there.
Okay, why didn't you pick him then, you nerd?
Uno reverse card.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I don't disagree. I think he would have been a fantastic pick, but if you love him so much, why don't you go and marry him then, Robbie, if that is your real name.
Maybe it's
not. He would have been great. I was going back and forth. Honestly, for me, the tiebreaker between the three remaining people is I was like, I don't want to choose my favorite Hendel sibling, so I'm going to choose Thomas Gilbert. And he's also pretty good at disc golf too. So
yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, that was how I locked that in. Okay, so I am ready to roll, fellas, on to the DGPT Championship, if you are. Let's do it. And it feels crazy to say as we are recording this right now, but we are just a little bit over a week away from the DGPT Championship's return to Charlotte, North Carolina. Last year, we saw Ricky Wysocki and Bincy Gannon take down the largest individual prizes in disc golf history, $40,000 each. That is more than some people make in a year, and more than most of the pros that we look up to, at least on the Canadian scene, make in a lifetime. The overall prize pool was $322,000, another record. Just absolutely insane. And this year, we're set to see the top 32 men and top 20 women compete for the largest prize and one of the most prestigious titles in disc golf. So I'm expecting plenty of competition up top in each field, with last year's 6th place MPO finisher Gannon Burr coming in as the huge favorite and starting with a score of neg 10, but facing stiff competition, of course, and what appears to be on the FPO side as wide open of a field as I've seen this year. You know, we were talking about it a few minutes ago, but Kristen feels mortal and touchable for the first time in a while. I feel I've been reticent to say that for the last couple of weeks, couple of months, but I feel like, you know, if you're not acknowledging that there are some chinks in the armor, you're not paying attention. And so, you know, a wide open FPO field, Gannon coming in as a big favorite with a nice starting score, but facing some competition. For me, I just want to know who's going to kick the most ass, who's going to take the most names. I cannot wait for this year's Tour Championship. Gentlemen, let's see how it plays out.
Just before we jump into our picks and whatnot, just for those that don't know, we did mention it in the MVP Open recap, talking about the players who finished first, second, third, and fourth in point standings. Well, that is going to give you a stroke advantage in this event. So I'll quickly give a quick little rundown so people know going into this event where everyone's starting at. Gannon Burr is going to be starting at -10, Ricky at -9, Nicholas at -8, Calvin at -7, Isaac, Paul, Ezra Robinson, and Anthony Barella will all start at -6. Chris Dickerson, Kyle Klein, Joseph Anderson, Matty O starting at -5. James Proctor, Gavin Babcock, Aaron Gossage, Adam Hammis starting at -4. Andrew Presnell, Gavin Rathbun, Jakob Simmerod, and Simon Lizotte starting at -3. Andrew Marweed, Evan Smith, Casey White, Cole Radalin starting at -2. Mason Ford, Joel Freeman, Luke Taylor, friend of the show, Eagle McMahon starting at -1, and Robert Burridge, Vinyl Macula, Corey Ellis, and Emerson Keith starting at even par. And then, of course, over on the FPO side, smaller field, but it'll be Missy at -10, Holland at -9, Kristen -8, Owen -7, and then we've got Evelina, Ella Hansen, Cat Merch, sorry, I messed that up. 5 and 6. Evelina and Ella. Why do I keep wanting to say Ellen? -6. Cat Merch and Natalie Ryan at -5. Hannah Blomroos and Anniken Sten at -4. Rebecca Cox, friend of the show, and Haley King starting at -3. Silva Sauternen and Paige Pierce starting at -2. Heidi Line and Valerie Mondahano starting at -1. And Lucky Lorenzen, Emily Weatherman, Lisa Fakis, and Hannah Wynn all starting at even par. And change this year from last year, there will not be a score reset after 2 rounds as there was last year. So wherever you start, it's going to be your score for the whole tournament. That's what you're working with. If you start with an advantage, you're going to keep that advantage instead of last year where people came in with a stroke advantage, but then after 2 rounds, the field was cut and the scores were reset. So yeah, this year will be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and a little bit you guys, but I kind of like that. I mean, I did like where their heads were at with trying to provide a bit of an advantage, maybe not too much of one with the standings for the year, but I sort of see this like, I always try to align it with like other sports that I play. And, you know, like looking at the NHL, you play 82 games, and at the end of those 82 games, you have an advantage in your seeding throughout. That advantage doesn't go away after X number of rounds. Like, no, the finishing ranking that you had through the first 82 games determines how you're going to seed up, who you're going to face throughout all of the playoffs. And so I like that it is going to be an advantage that continues through all of the playoffs for the DGBT Championship. So I'm totally here for it. And Robbie, it was very nice of you to give us that full rundown. I, as your friend, am very well aware that was just you stalling because you are on the clock first. So I am going to throw it over to you for your picks on the MPO and FPO side, my friend.
Ricky Wysocki owns Scoggins.
Boom. Wow.
What's stalling? What's stalling? I knew.
For too long after I just were good to go, eh?
No, I knew. I didn't know if I was going to have first pick for this because I don't know exactly what order you're going to make us go when we do this. But I did know that those would be my number 1 overall selections. Ricky is going to be starting 1 stroke back of Gannon, but has won this event multiple times, including last year, on this same course. So I am very confident with that. Owen was absolutely demolishing in the first 2 rounds last year. She was up by like 5 or more strokes before the scores got reset. Everybody went back to 0, and she wasn't able to finish out those last 2 rounds ahead. But if it hadn't have been for that score reset, Owen Scoggins may very well be the defending champion as well. So back at the same course, I'm going with the dogs that I know can play out here, and I'm going with Ricky Wysocki and Own Don't Doubt the Dog Scoggins.
Cannot be upset with any of those choices at all. Totally fair. And you did know you were picking first because it is in our spreadsheet or our Google Doc, whatever the heck you want to call it, and you could have seen it anytime if you just wanted to scroll down, buddy. So
you add those names in after I'm done the doc.
Yeah,
because you wouldn't take so long.
We've been in the doc recording for 3 hours. You've had time. You've been having time.
All right, who's pick?
It'll be over to me next for once, and I'm going to go. I don't know why I said for once this time, and I am going to continue a trend of taking names that I didn't expect to be on the board. I'm going to go Gannon. It feels like, of course, the prohibitive favorite, so I'm going to lock him in. I've been going back to the well with Kristen all year, and I'm actually going to deviate from that for this tournament. I've gone to a few different players, but it's been largely when I've had the option. But for me, though, looking at last year's success, looking at the season she's had, I got to go Big Money Missy. So I'm going to lock in Gannon and Big Money Missy Gannon and throw to you, Sean, for your picks.
Good question, because you got to take into account not just how well they are currently doing, but how many points they're going to have to their advantage. On the MPO side, I'll go Calvin Heimberg. I know he hasn't had a great second half of the season, but he's still Calvin Heimberg, right? He's still fourth in points.
Yep.
So he's going to have he's not far behind the leaders in terms of the points advantage. So I'm going to take Calvin on MPO, and over on FPO, Owen is gone. Big Money Missy is gone. How do I not take Kristen? So I'm just gonna go Kristen. Yeah.
Solid.
Solid pick.
When there's a points advantage on the line, hard to take below Kristen. Very, much below Kristen.
Yep. If I didn't have my way, I probably would have gone one below Kristen and would have taken my girl, Holland Hanley. But nonetheless, or did Holland finish in second?
Holland was second.
No, I got to pull it up. Yeah, you're right. Yep. Yeah, Kristen was third.
All I know is that Silver Lad had better not caddy for
be caddying for her. Yeah,
Pink, or else I'm toast.
Yeah, absolutely. we know that is the curse now. It's been proven. But let's say, how about you guys think? I don't know what English that was. What do you guys think? That's more like it. We move on now to a little look ahead to provincials as Ontario's source for the latest in the disc golf world. I think it's only fitting that we talk about the upcoming Ontario Provincial Championships, which are just around the corner, taking place October 18th to 20th in Huntsville, Ontario, across 3 different courses: Wolf Tracks at Bondi Village Resort, Galen's #1 course in the province, Limberlost Links, and Huntsville Downs. This is the same tournament crew and same set of courses that hosted last year's Northern Ontario Championships. At the 2023 Provincial Championships in Brantford, Ontario, Thomas Gilbert ran away from the field, winning by 16 strokes over Chris Brown for his 3rd provincial title of his career. And in FBO, Chantel Badinsky won her first career provincial title with a 6-stroke win over Chloe Winter. In MA1, Carter Yeomans won by 2 strokes, and in FA1, friend of the pod Rebecca Dawn won by 7 strokes. Both of those players will be playing in the pro divisions this year. This year's event will see 201 total competitors competing across 21 divisions, looking to be crowned Ontario champion, including 14 in MPO and 7 in FPO. Let's jump over to our picks. Galen, take her away.
Oh, man. I am salivating here at the options. I can't make my mind up. I am going to go a little bit off the board with both of my first 2 picks. Actually, a little bit more with one than the other. But I think both picks are super justified. I'm going to pick 2 halves of an Ontario disc golf power couple. Some folks who have fantastic performances at this course. I believe one of them does anyway, and I can guarantee the other does because we were just talking about him. Not the sexy pick per se in MPO, but I'm taking my boy Chris Brown. Finished in 2nd last year. I have seen him play some incredible disc golf last season and this season, and it's a little more fun to me to take him and his partner in crime, Colleen McInnes, together. So I'm going to take Colleen to take down FPO, and I'm going to take Chris Brown to stun the field and take down MPO.
Shawnee G, I believe it'll be you picking second.
And that's super fun. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Over in MPO, for fun, I will. I'm going to not pick a good friend of the show, Thomas, just for fun. I'm going to go with Cam Zanini. He just hit his highest rating ever with a 10.07. Yeah, I'm going with Cam for my pick. And then over in FPO, I'm going to take our girl Rebecca Dawn again. Is there anything she can't do? I don't think so. So I think she can do this too.
Damn you, Shawnee G. Stole my FPO pick right out from under me. I wanted to pick Rebecca.
I do.
I really think she has an opportunity to take that event down on those courses the way that she's been playing lately. I mean, the performance that she had at the Rip was just insane. So I don't think there's any reason to think that she won't do it. I will abide by the same rules that we've established here, and I won't take the favorite in the MPO field, the highest rated guy, Thomas Gilbert. Great friend of the show. Love you, Thomas. Probably has a really good chance at winning it. But let's talk about some other names in the field. And I am actually going to go. I'm going to go with Chris Toe.
Ooh, interesting.
I think that, especially at a course like Wolf Tracks, putting is going to be huge. Huntsville Downs. I've only played with Chris at P15. One where you don't necessarily need to unleash a ton of distance. It's way more important to stay in the fairway out there. But he's shredded. He's shredded in the woods. His putt was insane. It was absolutely lights out the whole round that I played with him. And I think he can do similar things to the courses out here. Huntsville Downs, if his putting's up, then I don't know if he's I don't know exactly what he's like at full arm strength unleashing on a golf course like Huntsville Downs. But I think it'll be enough to keep him in. His putting will be elite. And then somewhere like Wolf Tracks, throwing wooded lines and hitting big putts in the trees, I think is right in his wheelhouse. So I'm going to go with Chris Toe. And in FPO,
you going the Toe Paletto power couple pick?
Also, I mean, just quickly,
third at the Rip.
Like Toe's got a second and a third this year. Second at P15 and third at Top Link, both B tiers. Like he has been around.
He lost in a playoff to Cam Zanini at P15.
He's the reason I cashed last year's Jangle Aqua.
Yeah, carried your ass
100%.
I am going to go with. I'm going to go Chantel. I'm going to take Chantel Padinsky. She's the highest rated in the field. And yeah, I think she's got a great shot.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I dig it, man. I cannot, once again, argue with your logic there.
Yep. You know what? Actually, I'm sorry, Chantel. I believe I am now remembering something about Chantel having tweaked a bit of an injury, and that's why she wasn't at MVP and decided to play a more local tournament instead, taking a little bit more time off leading into final stretch. I could have totally just made that up and could have been something that I just heard, but I'm pretty sure I did. So I am actually going to go with another power couple, and I'm going to pick Alexandra Paletto.
Hell yeah, brother. I like it. We got two power couples and Cami Z and Rebby D.
Let's 3 power couples. I'm going double hums. We're going to change my pick.
There we go.
It is the the Miss Mando battle of the power couples.
Oh,
Let's go. Let's go. This is going to be so much fun. I'm so excited.
That totally wouldn't at all change my picks at all, but I'll leave it the way it is.
Let's should we make it interesting? I don't want to do anything too crazy, but do we want to, put a beer or a disc or something on the top power couple?
I will throw an autographed disc into the pile. I don't know which one it is, but it'll be one of the ones from my collection.
All right. I'll do the same. I'll throw an autographed disc in the pile too. And in fact,
I could throw a disc in and sign
it.
It
can't be your autograph. No,
that doesn't count. In fact, I am so confident in person Colleen. I'm going to throw a signed Chantel Badinsky. I believe it's an H3 in there. So
I don't have anything cool like this.
I'm confident I'll retain that disc, but I will put it up there anyway.
I think I've got a nice Paige Pierce signed disc of some sort that I will throw in the pile.
All right, I love it. Robbie, just find something cool.
Yeah, something cool. That's fine.
We know you don't know any pros. You don't have many friends. It's okay if you don't have any autographs. It's okay. But you'll find something of comparable intrigue to throw in there, and we'll see how this plays out.
We'll see.
Yeah. Now, one more thing that we're going to do before we wrap up this episode, over on Instagram as part of my MVP Open daily previews, I said that if anybody got an ace on hole 14, where I was the spotter, I was going to do a giveaway, and I am a man of my word. And so, on day 1, in the rain, Mr. Matty-O got an ace on 14. Here's my staff pass. He signed it. That's Paul Macbeth. There's Big Money Missy on the back. Gotta love the MVP Open. He nailed the most beautiful ace I've seen since last year when Yuli nailed an ace on hole 8 when I was spotting. I seem to be a good luck charm for aces at MVP. Happy to do it. So
we should see if Thomas will give us permission to put in his little clip.
I'll probably just do it anyway. Because I don't think he listens or watches this show, so I'm not too worried about it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to do a draw on Instagram, figure out how to actually do that, and I am giving away 2 discs from my staff pack. So if you're on staff at the MVP Open, you get amazing stuff. And we're on a future episode, we're going to talk all about why you want to volunteer at this event and how fun it is. But we got MVP Open 2024 Rhythm. Great disc. This is going to go to a winner. And a 2024 Glow. Which one is this one again? I'm trying to remember. Tempo. The Axiom Tempo
Beefy.
Glow. Nice overstable disc. Look at this. The rim on this thing is amazing. It is swirly. Beautiful disc. We got this as part of our staff pack. You two are not eligible to win.
So many entries. Shut up, Sean.
So I will give out of my personal stash these 2 discs to whoever our winner is. Like I said, watch our Instagram, Mist Mando Pod, for the details. It'll probably be a like and subscribe and tag kind of thing. And yeah, we're gonna do that probably the next week or so. Very happy that we're able to do that, and somebody got an ace on 14, and that it was last year's winner, Matty-O. All the better. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Yep, absolutely love it. Shout out Matty-O for hitting the ace so that we can do another giveaway right after we just finished up a giveaway. For those that follow our socials, we did just wrap up and finalized our giveaway from the Project 15 giveaway that we did for the number 1 course in our course vote. So that was fun. So right back at it, another giveaway. keep an eye out on the Missed Mando social accounts for all of that. Congrats to Alejandro Diaz-Yana for taking the win in the P15 giveaway. Couldn't have gone to someone better. He stepped up when Galen and I couldn't make it for a show. Him and his brother Ricky came on and co-hosted with Shawnee G. So congrats to Alejandro for that. And with that, that is going to wrap it up for us here on Missed Mando. It has been a fantastic episode. Thank you once again to Tobin Izatt for joining us for an interview. And for Sean Galbraith and Galen Naidu Harris, I am Robbie Holden saying so long, and we will see you on the course.